We will call this meeting to order. Welcome, everyone. We'll begin with roll call. Sue, thank you.
Holly Jarvis. Here. Kim Winter. Here. Andrea Fick. Here. Chuck Melke. Here. Jessica Lenave. Here. Jack Sayer.
Here. I'm messing with you, Sue, to see if you look up or not.
Carrie Germain.
Yes, here.
I'm
I
sorry.
believe Jack is.
No, Jack is
Oh, he's not.
unavoidably
He's skipping it. I'm
detained
coming.
tonight,
Okay,
so he will
sorry
not be
about
able
that.
to join us.
I know
Absolutely.
she.
All right, I'm going to ask everyone, including Chuck, just to join us in the pledge.
I do a double pledge for Jack.
Thank you, everyone. And I'm going to begin by thanking Travis because he does such a nice job making sure that the community feels like they're here. So thank you, Travis, for all you do and your team does.
Relax.
We have before us an opportunity for public comment. If anyone would like to address the board based on items that are on our agenda, please step forward, state your name, keep your comments to 3 minutes or less.
Yes, my name's John Pobosic. I've been a resident of Swartz Creek School District all my life. Thinking about building a house here in town, but this is not on your agenda, but hopefully you give me 3 minutes. I was just wondering about the Mary Crapel site and what the latest and greatest, and if there's anything concrete, what you're planning on doing there, or what your hopes are, or whatever is going on there.
Is that something you can update during your superintendent report? And I know, Chuck, you usually.
Are you gonna do it later in the school district, or in the meeting?
Yeah, Carrie's basically saying you're going to have to dredge along here with us for a while.
That's all right.
Not too
I
long.
didn't see it on the agenda,
Not
so
too
I
long.
thought maybe I'd ask you right now.
No, it's a
It'll come
hot
up in the
topic.
building report.
All right, great.
Thank you, Mr.
All right.
Posey. Thank you. Anyone else? All right, moving on. We do have before us a consent agenda. I would entertain a motion for approval.
So moved.
Support. Chuck and Andrea? Any comments or questions? Hearing none. Sue, can you do roll call, please?
Carrie Germain.
Yes.
Chuck Melke.
Yes.
Holly Jarvis.
Yes.
Jessica Lenave.
Yes.
Kim Winter. Yes. Andrea Fick.
Yes. All right, 6 yeses.
Yes.
Motion passes. Thank you very much. Moving on to our very important and exciting superintendent report. Mr. Heatherton.
Well, it's exciting that it's a beautiful day out there. It's packed with our first home meet, Holly versus Swartz Creek in varsity track and field. Mr. Kitchen and I did get a chance to go over there. I think we might have sunburns tomorrow. And the kids are having a blast. And if I could brag for a second, my daughter did take first in shot and discus. So, we will skip to Mary Crapel so we can give an update there. We have surveyed the land at Mary Crapel, and we have almost finished the demolition portion. They were leveling out most of the sand today. It's pretty close to being done with that portion of it. We do have some interest in looking at parking and ball field area, walking area, just an open park area. But like I said, we have just at this point started the surveying process. We do have some initial drawings for that open space like that, for that kind of a park, maybe even some pickleball courts if possible. So it'll be an open space if that all comes to fruition.
Would the ball diamond, you think, be in the same spot it's in now, or do you have any idea at all? It's all still up in the air?
Yeah, we have one initial drawing, and I think it's kitty cornered the other way,
Okay.
so that,
You see anything happening later in the year, maybe, or if that soon?
a lot of projects to get done,
Yeah,
so I'm not sure. We have like 3 or 4 major projects as we wrap up the bond season.
Okay.
In a perfect world, if we had all of our projects ready and all of our pots of money lined up, we would have everything done before next year, but I don't see everything getting done by the start of next year. It just depends on what comes in first, what materials are ready to roll, and, you know, who has workers and that kind of a thing. So we're hopeful.
Yeah, well, hey, I think you made the right decision turning it down. It probably wasn't an easy one, and it was probably a big relief when it's gonna be done, but,
Thank you.
yeah.
We also had our wellness night last week, and that was our first inaugural wellness night, and I think people were brought to tears with the outpouring of support. So if you came out to the wellness night, or if you participated in the wellness night, or if you helped staff the wellness night, thank you. We had over 50 staff members. We had over 50 resource tables from the community, and most of those people had 2 to 3 people a table. So probably over 100 community resource folks there, and up to 400 families. We gave away 250 boxes of food. We gave away a $500 gift card to Meyer, and we gave all sorts of door prizes away. It was just a phenomenal, phenomenal event. Our own Dragon Diner provided free hot dogs and smoothies, and I know that that was spearheaded by Carrie and Katie Hunt and Amy Jackson and Mr. Kitchen. And so again, just what a phenomenal event, and thank you for your time put into that.
And I want to thank Katie and Amy because they did a phenomenal job in addition to their regular work to organize all of this. All I did was give them the framework and kind of help them along the way. They did the yeoman's job, and we are so grateful to the district for the support and for the funding to do that. And I know they're already talking about doing it again next year. And I know Mrs. Bealby is going to talk about the STEAM program, and hopefully she can give us a little bit more about what happened that night. But I want to thank everybody, and I know some of the board members were able to attend. The community was, as Rod said, I think the community was overwhelmed by how amazing the event was. And as important, the community resource folks said it was one of the best events they've ever attended. So, and I'm sure they do a lot of those. So that's high praise coming from folks who that's what they do for a living, and I'm hoping that means they'll come back next year. So thanks, and thanks Jim, and thanks Rod for supporting it. I know it takes time away from staff's regular work, so thank you.
Yeah, I had a couple community tables say that when they go to events like this, they usually see 20 to 25 tables, and so for us to have 50 to 60 tables was an amazing turnout. Next, we talked about school of choice last meeting, and I was asked for a little bit of data, so I was able to compile some data. We compiled this data 5 years ago, and if you recall, I talked about how our academics and our discipline was really, there wasn't a whole lot of difference, but this is an updated set of data from 2022 to 23. So the first page is just pupil accounting data, and you can see that was pulled by our pupil accounting department from my school data. And you can see that we bring in 795 FTE into the district, residents that leave through school of choice, 582. That's a 213 FTE to the positive difference. And school of choice brings us $7,275,000 a year in this Swartz Creek, which is about a quarter of our general budget, just on the FTE alone. The next page, you will see the current suspension incidents. On the left are the buildings and the resident out-of-school suspensions. On the right are the school of choice suspensions. And you can see this was pulled by our technology department. The data source on this is Power School, our SIS, with about 2,700 students and 168 incidents of out-of-school suspension. That is a 6.25% for resident students. or less, because some of those students may have been suspended more than once. So 6.25% of our entire student body had a suspension, of course, meaning 94% didn't. And that's something we've always looked at, Swiss. Every building has looked at their discipline data every year, and it's almost always 85 to 90% of students are not receiving any discipline. And then on the other side, you can see the school of choice, 810 students, 51 out-of-school suspensions with a 6.30 rate of suspension. So 6.3% of those students received a out-of-school suspension or less, again, in case there was a multiple in there. We did not have the time to take out multiples. That's just a pull from Power School. And so on average, obviously, about 6.28 is our suspension rate. And the final page is our STAR reading. So STAR reading includes early literacy, so that would be kindergarten through 11th grade, and STAR math, I think, is first grade through 11th grade. So that's the type of grade levels you're looking at. You can see that our school of choice on the top is meaning grade level at a slightly higher percentage than the resident districts in reading. And at the bottom, you can see that our resident district students are about 7% higher in math. And then you can see growth data for both groups at or above benchmark data for both groups, and then intervention data for both groups. And basically, you're looking at 19s to 20s on intervention, 46 to 45 in reading on at or above, and then similar data at the bottom in math, a little bit less. As you know, when we brought the fall data, this correlates to the fact that our students have been scoring higher on math than they have been in reading. So, as was the case for 5 years ago when we looked at this data at MTSS and academic achievement, there is no actual difference in suspensions and or academics when you take a look at the whole body of school of choice versus resident students. Biennial election is next, and you know what, let's do Gallagher. Had the opportunity to, as I think I reported out a couple of times ago, to go to the GISD retreat, and we talked about culture and climate there, and they had a group in called Gallagher who does research on what high-functioning organizations do and how they act. We were able to compare this to our Hanover research, which talked about what do we need to do for staff and students to have high-functioning climate and culture. So it was a great activity with the principals and directors last week to talk about what are we doing for students and staff, and we read the Hanover research, and then we talked about this as in an organization, what are our leaders doing? And so on the right, these are all the types of things that build trust in a high-functioning organization, and on the left, in the pink, these are all the things that break trust down. And then at the bottom, you can see in a high-trust organization, 74% of employees are less stressed, 106% have more energy at work, 50% have more production. There are 13% fewer sick days used. 76% feel more engaged. 88% are more likely to recommend your company, or in our case, institution, to a friend or colleague. 65% feel closer to their colleagues, and 40% are less likely to have burnout. And why is this important? Well, you know that we are facing burnout in education. We're losing people all the time. We're posting for jobs more than we ever have. And so what are we doing as leaders to build trust? And so we talked about it. It was great activity. Some of the things that we talked about was, having the active listening and making sure that we're communicating openly and honestly. And some of the things that we agreed upon that we need to work on to get rid of it, they all had their own individual answers. But overall, we talked about not tolerating bad behavior because that destroys trust, and not micromanaging, letting our people do the work that they were hired to do and getting out of their way so that they can do good work. And so those are a couple of things on the trust buster side that they said we would like to decrease. So I think that's really, really important when we've spent so much time talking about climate and culture this year to take a look at what impact the research said leaders have on their organization. Now the biannual election. And we have just a list of all the dates. I know it probably seems like we keep voting on ISD issues, but I assure you they're all separate issues. By law, we have to vote on the issues, certain issues that come up at the county level. So what I want to actually point your attention to is tonight we will be actually selecting again, this time for a representative alternate who will vote in the GISD biannual election. And then those candidates are available May 15th through the 5th. So as I told you in my memo this week, we really need to think about pushing our May date back because we have to, again, by law, vote on this, but our board meeting is before the 15th. We won't have the candidates in time. So my suggestion is we push it back a week to May 17th. The candidates will be announced. We'll be able to put it on our agenda. The only other alternative thing that I could think of, you may have other ideas, is to keep it and then just come in for a short half-hour meeting and go through the agenda and vote and get out. But if we could combine them all into one and just move it by week, I think that works.
24th, we have Dragon Nation Community Night. Oh, wait, we're moving it to
17th would just be a week later.
just looking at the calendar. So right now it's on the 10th, right? So I'm trying to move it to the 19th.
Yeah.
Do you need to know right now if that works?
Do you want me to finish and we can discuss all of this, or? So 2 more events, think about that during these 2 events. Kindergarten enrollment night, and it's not just enrollment night, we have gone virtual with enrollment about 3 years ago. So you can enroll anytime online at the website and go to the enrollment tab. But we are going to have an enrollment fun night if you would like to come out and take part in bounce houses, games, activities. It's all happening at the Cage on April 20th from 4:30 to 7:30. So if you have a little one at home or your neighbor has a little one at home, April 20th, we will have a big event at the Cage with all sorts of fun games and giveaways, as always. And we would like to see your smiley 4- and 5-year-old faces there. So kindergarten enrollment event coming up. And then we were going to have Dale Wayhill, the county commissioner from the 8th district, give us an update from the county. And Dale got sidetracked with something else. So his assistant, Michelle Ryder, is here. And Michelle said she would still give us a little bit of information on what's going on at the county.
Yes. Good evening, everyone.
Welcome, Michelle.
Thank you. I'm going to go over some of this stuff, but I don't know if I have enough, but I have a handout that kind of goes over more of the details of the cost of the projects and the funding sources. Okay. Your guys' sound system is fantastic. I'm in Grand Blanc, and when we give public comment, it's a little bit more difficult to hear. Okay, so my name is Michelle Ryder. I work for Commissioner Dale Wayhill's office. He planned to be here tonight. We went back and forth trying to schedule it, so I really appreciate Sue being kind of the liaison for that. But he did have a last-minute conflict come up, so he sends his apologies, and he will hopefully be here to give the next update. So I'm going to briefly go over some of the exciting things that are happening at the county level that will impact Swartz Creek School District in a positive way. The Genesee Valley Trail Extension Project is complete. which I hear is really exciting. The city now has the ability to provide safe, non-motorized pathways, which obviously allows for more outdoor recreation for students as well, as the rest of the community. But I mentioned students, obviously, because that's why we're here, but also as a mother of a 3rd grader, a 5th grader, and a teenager. I know that getting kids, outdoors and staying active is so important for their mental health. And, not only are we in Michigan, where I am convinced that we all have at least a little bit of seasonal depression, we're also coming out of the pandemic and stuff like that. So getting the kids outdoors and, fresh air is always good for everyone's overall health and well-being. Along with the trail extension, there will soon be sidewalk improvements along Hayes, Brady, McLean, School, and Ford Streets. And even those, the infrastructure improvements that seem less exciting, like the water main projects and the sewer projects, and even the funding, there's on there the funding for the Swartz Creek Senior Center. Those things still really benefit the school district. A strong infrastructure increases the property value, which increases funding, which makes, the community more desirable for families. And then when there's a strong sense of community, our school districts can only get better. So I think by creating these public spaces and focusing on the people that will use them, just promotes the community's health, happiness, and well-being. So I would be happy to take any questions I can try to answer or relay to Dale.
Any questions for Michelle?
Sure.
Thank you. This
Okay.
is very much appreciated.
All right.
Thank you. We
Awesome.
appreciate the beginnings of a partnership, too.
Yes. 'Cause
Trying
he
to
is
do more of
really-
that with the community and with the
Yeah, he's
the
really
city
trying
and-
to get involved, and we know that the school boards and the teachers, that's where the youth is, so it's imperative to really connect with these communities and make sure that everyone is getting the resources and funding for these things for our communities.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
And give our regards, please,
You will.
Commissioner. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anything else, Rod?
And that is all I have.
Okay, so before we move on, I would propose that we talk about the change in the May meeting to the 17th. Is everybody okay with that? Any challenges with that? It's the following Wednesday, Chuck. It was on the 10th, so it'd be the 17th.
I have no objection.
No one? All right, sounds like we have consensus.
I'll have Sue take care of that.
Thank you very much. All right, any other questions for Rod? Appreciate the updates, Rod, and congratulations to your daughter. It's
Thank
exciting.
you.
I know it's just the beginning of the season. Okay, moving on. Let us go to Tanner's Student Board Representative Report.
All right, so starting off again, this week at the high school, today and tomorrow, we have our mandated state testing. Juniors will be crammed into the gym tomorrow to take I believe it's the ACT and the M-STEP. Best of luck to them. Hopefully those scores will come out nice and be able to help them in the future. Our robotics team actually went 2 states last weekend, which is awesome to hear, and our archery team qualified for the national level competition. The Addams Family Musical is going to be going on in a couple weeks here on April 21st, 22nd, and 23rd at 7, and, 21st and 22nd at 7, and then on the 23rd it will be at 3 for our matinee show. On April 28th, the annual Junior-Senior Prom will be happening at Stonehouse Farm in Bancroft. And on May 15th, the Academic Awards Night is going to be held at 6 o'clock at the PAC. And then we have our pop concert for the choir programs coming up. This is the last concert for the year. This just gives students every year, they try to do a different theme, give students a chance to have some fun up there with different songs of different genres. This year we're going to be having Mr. Luke's band join us on stage to be accompanying us for a bunch of the songs, which is going to be awesome. And the fundraiser distribution for the choir and drama club fundraisers is happening tonight at the Performing Arts Center. At the middle school level, the spring sports are up and running. Testing is going on for them all grade levels this week and the next. In the fourth marking period, which is this marking period, students are going to be working on self-management through the use of planners, just getting ready to take that next step into the high school and after that college levels where they're going to need those self-management skills. The Soapbox Derby started last weekend, and the students who earned 3s and 4s on their Creek scores last marking period will be getting an opportunity to come over to the middle school on Friday, April 21st, to watch a sneak preview of Act 1 of the Addams Family musical. In the elementary school level, Moorish is currently over in the gym. They are having the staff versus students basketball game, so best of luck to them. It sounds like they're expecting a huge attendance for that. So that's going to be great to get those little ones out on the court and playing against some of their teachers. That's going to be an awesome event to see. And on Gaines had a great participation from their Bikes for Books program this year. And last week they drew 4 names of K through 12 or K through 2 students who earned scooters, and then 3 through 5 got a chance to enter for a bike, and 4 students were also drawn to win a brand new bike. This week, the Gaines PTO sponsored a Science Alive program assembly for the students. This is an event that just, they'll either put them all in the gym or they come to the classrooms, and they bring in all sorts of animals. They'll bring in giant exotic toads and turtles, sometimes even a snake. Just give the students a chance to actually get up and close and personal with these animals, learn a bunch about them, get pictures with them, hold them. And all in all, that's just a great event, and I know the students always enjoyed that hands-on stuff. And the Gaines Student Council members have also been collecting supplies for the Humane Society, and they're going to be delivering those when they go to Read with the Animals on April 17th. And then finally, next Friday, April 21st, is the annual talent show at Gaines. The Student Council and 5th grade class have been working very hard to put that on and get that all ready to showcase all the different students' talents at Gaines. So best of luck to them. Break your legs. It's going to be an awesome, awesome, awesome show. Can't wait to see it. And at Cyrene, the kindergarten and Little Dragons teachers are currently collaborating together to get a smooth transition for incoming kindergartners. They're going to be putting together a couple events for that. On April 28th, the Little Dragons teachers and assistants are going to be coming to visit the kindergarten classes. And then in May, the kindergarten teachers are going to go over to the Little Dragons classrooms to introduce themselves and get them ready for that transition from the primary school to up to the kindergarten level, just getting them in the next step there. And then, as Mr. Heatherton said, there is going to be a kindergarten roundup on April 20th at the Cage from 4 to 8. And the elementary schools are also going through their spring testing right now. And finally, at our virtual learning center, the students over there embraced March's Reading Month by participating in a 7-minute-a-day reading challenge. And students completed this reading and tracked their progress over several weeks. And a small luncheon was held to honor all the participants in that, and they held a prize drawing as well. And the Virtual Learning Center, we've got a little bit of a theme here. They're also taking on the state testing this week. So just getting all that wrapped up before the end of the year. And Mrs. Morgan also wanted to give a big shout out to those who helped with the backpack program over at the Virtual Learning Center. She says, I would like to express appreciation for the students who are engaged in assisting with the backpack program. From emptying the pallet to packing the bags, each of their efforts have had an awesome impact on someone's life. Someone they may not even know, however, what they're doing still matters, and I appreciate their efforts. And on that awesome note, that's how I've got to end my report.
Thank you, Tanner. Any questions for Tanner? Tanner, I just know, I know you're close personal friends with Fireball, and I just wanted to know if you could convey a message of gratitude for coming to the event last week.
I can absolutely do that. I'll make sure to pass that on.
Thank you very much. Okay, moving on, we
Gary,
have,
what time was the Gaines Township, or the Gaines School event? You said it was Friday, the 21st.
the talent show?
The talent show, yeah, did I miss the time? I'm sorry.
Let's see.
I didn't hear the time. I apologize.
No, you're all right. I'm just going to make sure I got it. Doesn't look like I was given a time for the talent show here.
Anybody know?
Oh, it is? No, okay, I didn't know if anybody caught that.
Yeah, I can absolutely get that to you.
Okay, thank you, Tanner.
Thanks, Chuck. Thanks, Tanner. All right, moving on, you do have a couple of non-certified staff as informational items on your agenda. And then going on to the board subcommittee reports, beginning with the academic achievement meeting. We met on the 3rd at 4 p.m. That was a busy day. We had all of our committee meetings. We began with a textbook proposal that was presented by Mr. Atwood, Mr. Clark, and Mr. Claren. Basically, they went over the new math textbooks for the high school, shared them with us. This is the Algebra 1 and Algebra 2, and then sports statistics. It's statistical reasoning in sports that qualifies for a senior level math class. The last time we had new textbooks was in 2006-2007 school year when there were changes in the Common Core. So this is really exciting, and they're great books for math books. And there's a 6-year license for online access, which is what they'll use the most, according to the folks that were presenting. And that, just for everyone here, this would be in the 2023-24 budget, but they'll be delivered prior to the beginning of the school year, obviously, so they can get the books all ready for the students. I'm not going to spend time on the school of choice. Rod shared what he had shared with the committee, the full-time equivalent data that Travis and his team pulled together. And then Kevin Claren shared some state safety grants that all of the schools in the state are being given or have already been given. There's 2 groups that will be working with schools. The first one is Critical Response Group. They're retired military personnel. They actually do mapping for the school district, and this is to provide consistency if there's an emergency so that first responders have the same information at the same time. And according to Rod, all GISD schools are participating in this program. There is an annual fee or subscription. I'm not sure I had that number, but there is an annual fee to participate in this program. And then the second grant is with Secure Education Consultants, also a state-funded program, and they will look at our emergency procedures, our operational policies, and then they can provide us with recommendations for improvements. It was really nice to hear these kind of work hand in hand. Once that review is done, the group will meet with us in closed session to provide the recommendations. Obviously, as with all of our emergency plans, we have to make sure that those are secure. There was no public comment, and we thank the group for their commitment to our students. The next meeting is scheduled for the 2nd of May at 4 o'clock. Any questions?
We have a couple when you're done.
Sure.
Go ahead. This group, they're from the state of Michigan. This is funded through the state of Michigan. Help me out, I didn't hear it.
Yeah, there were 3 or 4 different safety grants. These are 2 small line items. I think it's 97C and 97D, I'm not sure. So one is for critical mapping and one is for an evaluation of your current programming.
Okay, and then obviously they work with us, but our school resource officers, I mean, they're obviously involved and they'll be in the meetings with us, or?
So the one that does the evaluation of our systems will actually meet with us in closed session and go over all the details of what they found with our systems.
Okay. Will our SRRs be there? Will they be there at that meeting or no? Or is that just for us and then us to push it back down into the system?
It'll be a closed session because they're gonna identify all the weaknesses that we
Okay.
have. The SROs and the building principals are involved in the meetings that lead up to the analyzation of that. So that'll just be the final report.
Okay.
But before that, they have a meeting on, already in the calendar for every building and their teams.
And then when it comes up to us, we'll make a decision on what we can do to help, or?
They'll just give a report. You'll be able to we'll be able to do whatever you want
Okay,
with it.
all right. Is there any extra money that we know of that's coming in from the state or the feds for more school resource officers?
There is money right now from this year's budget. It looks like it's going to be proposed to be in next year's budget, but we don't have those final numbers yet. And as you know, we currently have a posting with
Right.
Monday Township for a third resource officer.
And the money that we have left over, Rod, can that funnel into next year's budget? Do we lose any of that?
Yes, it can.
Okay, so we may have maybe even money for 4, depending on what they give us next year, plus what we've saved this year, not been able to spend this year, would be a better statement to use for next year.
Yeah, we have the grants for safety, we have 31A, we have other grant type things that SRO qualifies for. So if we want to boost up to 4, we could do that. I think the bigger issue isn't the money right now. The bigger issue is finding people
Right.
to take the jobs, because most every district is taking advantage and trying to beef up their system. So you've got, over 500 districts across the state, and if they all just add 1 resource officer, where are those 500 officers coming from? That's been the biggest issue right now, is just, as you know, in all stages in organizations, is getting the manpower.
Yeah. I have faith that Monday Township or Metro will find people for us so we can staff those. Thank you. So I want to know we could have that money. Thanks.
Thanks, Chuck. There were some documents that were shared at that meeting that maybe we can share with the board, Rod? Those, they describe what they provide? Okay,
I will have Kevin just email them right to you, and then you can have the whole document.
thank you. All right, moving on, finance, or we can do building and site.
Building and site. Okay, we'll do it a little backwards here. But yeah, I had yours all ready to go. So our meeting started at 2:49 PM. It was at the admin building in the office here. It was open to the public. The meeting was called by myself, present. We had a lot of people there. R.C. Hunt was there. Trustee Jessica was there. Jamie Cohen, our new finance director, was there. Jim was there. Our assistant superintendent, Rod, our superintendent, was there. Trustee Andrea Fick was there, and Madam President Carrie Germain was there. The first thing we talked about was the time capsule event, and we might as well open it up right now. It's to be discussed at the April 12th general meeting is what I put down, for a resolution decision on the place, time, and date. And Rod gave us some options, and one of the options I liked was just doing it at the next meeting at about 5:30 PM, and, put it out over social media and whatever outlets we have, and the public can come and take a peek at it. So I'll stop my report and see what the board would like to do. Or do you want to wait till the report's done?
I think that's a great idea.
Yeah, it's open to discussion for the board, yeah.
I think we do it just before a board meeting.
Okay.
Let people know, and then maybe more people will come to our meeting.
Well,
Maybe they'll linger and stay.
Rod had a great idea. I mean, doing it before, that way they can leave after if that's all they're coming for, instead of waiting through the whole meeting to open the items up. And it's a very small box, so I don't think it's going to be very exciting.
And if you do a half an hour, that's plenty of time for people to look at what's in there.
Sure. So is
So you're
that-
proposing 5:30 on May 17th?
Yes, if that's okay with the rest of the board,
Is
yes.
that good for everybody? Again, you have
So I
consent.
make a motion that we open it at 5:30 PM on May the 17th here at the board office, and there's a second for that, that'd be great, and we can vote on it.
I'll second.
All right, we have a second from Holly. Any comments or questions? Those in favor say aye.
Aye,
Any opposed? All right, thanks, Chuck.
thank you.
Probably sell tickets to that thing.
Well, we need it for the new Mary Crapel facility. You can go out and start collecting money for us, please. Just make sure you do it the right way. All right. Next issue is the stadium opening. Obviously, you can see it's open. Per RC, the stadium was open without incident. Restrooms, concessions were open, water was running. The bathrooms are working, so it's up and running, and there was no issues. So that was good. The next thing was spring cleanup plans. The maintenance department will begin fixing all the grass areas from the winter damage from parking and plowing work from the snow season. Hopefully it will have it all done by April 15th. I don't know if he will, but he's going to try. He may need to bring in the lawn service group that we use and help them get it up and running and ready for the graduation. So everything's prim and proper. New custodial software. This program is designed for the teachers and admin staff to put direct input into custodial staff at their respective buildings, whether it's positive or not, just reminders for things that are being done well or may have been overlooked. This will keep a tighter control in the cleanliness of the individual buildings and will assist Michelle, our custodial supervisor and RC, who cannot tour all the buildings on a daily basis. So basically it gives some leverage to the principals and vice principals and maybe some of the administrative secretaries to see what's being done and what's not being done. It's a great idea, and I think the program was under $2,500 if I'm not mistaken. Public comment, there was no public comment at the meeting. The operations comment from the 4 board members, discussion on the chimney swifts. They're going to be built ASAP, and they're going to be put far enough away so there's no disturbance. In fact, I think we decided to do it over by the cemetery, if I'm not mistaken, right? Or the creek, is that what it was? Okay. All right. Well, I was close. I'm like about 300-400 yards off. Yeah, okay, so that way they won't be disturbed when construction does start on Mary Crapel. So that was a great idea. We talked about some of the parking lots that need to be fixed this summer, and Jessica will have more information on that. And then the 400 wing for the athletic department, we were getting the architectural and drawings and mechanical drawings, and they did come in today. And I'll let Rod comment on that if he would like, and then Jessica, I'll let you comment on some of the parking lots we talked about. And other than that, our next meeting will be on May 1st, and so I'll turn it over to you two. Thank you. Go ahead. No, about the parking lots.
Which parking lots are you talking about?
The middle school parking lot, there was
The
some.
middle school lot.
North lot, yeah.
Well, which parking lot we talk about on the north
Whatever one
lot?
you want, that's kind of your baby.
Well, the north lot, are you talking about the grade for us to
The
discuss
grade and
that
the
now?
asphalt, yeah. Well, we don't have to discuss, there was just discussion on it. Oh, there's open discussion on it.
Sure. The grade, there's an inappropriate grade that does not allow for,
Proper drainage.
thank you.
Yeah.
The proper drainage, and so we're still working out a resolution. I think that's a fair way to say that, with the architects and potentially attorneys to get it resolved, so that it will drain properly, because it was not designed properly or then put in properly to the appropriate grade.
That's good.
Is that fair for me to say?
Yeah, it's your baby, you've been.
Still unresolved, but it will get, and we will though, there was, pull-up in multiple spots in that north lot, like where the buses turn, there was separation. And so we have come to an agreement on that we will have those sections of the newly paved lot, patched. And they have extended the warranty to 5 years for those sections. So,
Perfect.
yeah, that one I am a bulldog.
Yeah, I know.
And I'm super glad we got the resolution to that. And that's the parking lots. I will add one more thing to the parking lot, that our staff at some point were responsible for the maintenance in front of where the STEAM lab is at the middle school, because of construction there, that's pretty ruddy. And that is, somebody had asked me whether or not who was responsible for that section of the road. And just, because I didn't know this, and so the public knows it, from bridge to bridge, back on the south section, the district is responsible for that road. So that is something that will be on our radar for repair. I think that's it for the roads and the parking lots.
Rod, you got the other part.
So for the 400 hallway, that's one of the last projects we're trying to complete with the bond. And the athletic wing has had the specs from the engineering drawn up. We've been working with Lisa from NJB, and she's getting ready to roll those specs into a couple of bids. There are going to be some alternates so we can look at pricing. We are looking at creating a office space for community ed and for athletics, a conference room, a training room for the trainer, storage. There will be a vestibule, secure vestibule, where those brand new silver doors are leading into that hallway. If you've seen the outside of the gym on the north side there, and then that'll go straight into the athletics. We will be working to create 2 areas for tech on the east side of the hall, and there will still be 2 more classroom spaces on the west side of the athletic place. So there will be some work with air and heat, and there's also going to be some ceiling work and maybe some lack of ceiling work depending on whether it's a kid space or not a kid space, and probably tiling the entire hallway. But there are a lot of options there, so once those bids go out, we'll be able to discuss those options and see what best suits our needs and what comes in at the cheapest price. Is that a fair assessment?
Yeah, I turned it over because it came in today, so I didn't, at the bond steering committee. So it's exciting for the athletic department, our IT department underneath operations. They've had some burst pipes in there, so we want to get that whole area cleaned up, and that's one of the weak spots in our district overall plan. And I think once we can get that done with bond money, we'll be in good shape and be able to tackle our maintenance issues. And then, other than that, I have nothing else to add. Mary Crape, I spent a couple hours over there yesterday and Monday, and they're doing a great job. They ran into a lot of stuff that needed to be done, but it's coming along. They put the pipe in for the concession stands. And Jessica just reminded me, we looked at the 500 wing today, and that cooling heat unit I brought up about 2 months ago that may be repaired for $30,000 to $40,000. I'll give you the bad news next month. It probably won't be able to be repaired. It'll be a little bit more money, but we're working with the architect again to try to figure out how best to deal with that, but that's a future issue.
So they found out in the 500 wing that that's a ventilation system, and it's over 20 years old. So in order to get heat and cooling into the 500 wing, which is about 20 classrooms, the $40,000 fix is probably not going to do it. We don't have a number yet, but as Chuck said, we will get that number.
Yeah, we don't want to scare nobody.
It'll not be 40,000, but
We'll deal with it. We've dealt with everything else that's been swung our way in operations, but I reported on that a few months ago, 40 grand, but that's not going to happen. So we'll beat some people up and twist arms and elbows and see if somebody can help us out. Yes, of course, all well within the law, yeah. So that's it, but Mary Crapo, they've got it almost all graded with all the change orders. They got pipes going in for concession stands. If we decide to do that, it's going to be nice. So, to help answer Mr. Bosick's out.
Any questions for Chuck? Thank you, Chuck, as always. I think Miss Jessica, it's finance.
Okay. We met April 4th. We kicked off the meetings at 2:09. Present was myself, Carrie Germain, Chuck Melkey, Andrea Fick, Rod Heatherton, Jim Kitchen, R.C. Hunt, and Jamie Cowan. We began the meeting at 2:09. The cash and investment summary is a report as of 3/31/23. Because we met on the 4th, this was not available at the time of the Finance Committee meeting. However, I will share the numbers with you as they've been shared with us. In the general fund, $6,400,592.34. The sinking fund is $1,893,665.01. Food service, $777,553.15. Student activity fund, $318,854.07. Debt service is $3,235,896.96. The 2018 bond capital project is at $3,793,714.47, leaving our total cash and investments at $16,420,276. There were cash register review is not available again because of the date of the month. And bids and quotes was an agenda item. The first was furniture quotes, and I believe we have those in our packet tonight. The first is for Cyrene and other elementaries bookcases. No, I spelled that wrong. For $161,177.81. That will be coming from bond funds. Lift lid desks at elementaries, and there were various amounts. That's $233,902.89. That would be coming from ESSER funds. Tables and chairs at all the schools, just so the public knows as well, that's not every table and chair being replaced in every school. It is, however, $232,338.51 as well. That will be ESSER funds that would be used. The other discussion, as Carrie had mentioned in her report, were the high school math books, Algebra 1 and Algebra 2, and statistic books. Algebra 1 and Algebra 2 came for a total of $92,608.50, and the statistics set is $4,542.40. And can I pause for just one moment and ask if Mr. Kitchen would like to share anything, because statistics, that's going to be new, what we were talking about with that. Do you just want to share a little bit about how those books are going to be used, the idea for that class?
Sure. So it's a senior level class, and it connects sports with statistics. So students will be able to do things with batting averages and win and loss percentages and those kind of things. So it's a great experience that connects with kids and with their level of interest.
Thank you. There was a 6-year technology license for the Algebra 1 and Algebra 2 books. And then in committee comments, the request and confirmation was that we will continue to have the cash and investment summary and the check register review would be presented and discussed monthly at our future finance committee meetings. And also a request was made for a balance of our ESSER funds. The meeting transitioned to operations at 2:43 p.m. I would like to make a motion or ask that you accept my report as submitted, again with our new business director just verifying the cash and investment summary. And I would like to say that I think Jen did a spectacular job in the absence of us having a business director, so I just wanted to acknowledge that publicly. Thank you to everybody in the finance department.
So moved on your report.
Thank you.
Thank you. So I'll take yours as the motion, Jessica, and
Yes.
Chuck as the support. Any comments or questions?
Just one comment that we talked about in the meeting that's, I think you brought up, Jessica, about the statistics, that it would not be any way a gambling association, because it had come up that, you know, a sports statistics class, and having a nephew that was very into numbers, there's a big difference than of knowing numbers in sports and the equations and knowing math, and just a way to give them a math class that seniors need. I don't think that was mentioned, that it's a requirement that they take a math class, and not everybody's going to take calculus or some of those higher level AP classes, so this gives them a different option, but no gambling association.
Thank you, Andrea. Hearing no other questions or comments, Sue, can you do roll call, please?
Andrea Fick,
Yes.
Kim Winter. Yes. Carrie Germain.
Yes.
Chuck Melkey.
Yes.
Holly Jarvis.
Yes.
Jessica Lenave.
Yes.
6 yes.
Thank you. Motion passes. Let's see. Let's move on. We have some exciting information I do at this point with the STEM report. Mrs. Bilby and guests.
Good evening. For those of you who do not know me, I am Michelle Bilby. I am the district's STEM coordinator here in Swartz Creek. We say STEM, but we are technically STEAM now, so this is STEAM in the Creek. Tonight I have with me a couple of guests, 2 STEAM teachers. I have Madonna Kelly and Kelly Swales. We were supposed to have a few others, but whether it be the weather or other personal incidents, they had some scheduling conflicts. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and get started, and then you'll have an opportunity to ask some questions of myself or either of the 2 teachers I have with me at the end. So a little bit about our history. We started 2013. STEM was introduced and piloted at one of our elementary schools with some teachers and some students through the approval of administration. In 2019, all of our elementaries buildings received with the passing of the bond, they all had the opportunity to have new STEM wings introduced to them. And it gives our elementary students the opportunity to start exploring what 21st century jobs and skills they might need. In 2021, we addressed the importance of arts in the STEM, and we converted our language to STEAM. Hence, we have our two STEAM teachers with us today. And we now have STEAM classes that we offer at all elementaries, middle school, and we are currently exploring the possibility of adding that as an elective at the high school. And this year, we were able to open our middle school STEAM wing, and it is up and running, functioning fully. And our high school wing is being used somewhat. We are still in the process of purchasing and setting it up, getting materials in place. It's usable for teachers and staff, and we hope to have it ready to go day one in the fall. So we're going to try this. Oh. All right, so I'm going to talk about 3 different things tonight: applied learning, project learning, based learning, and problem-based learning. Applied learning is when we're using our hands to learn. That's usually what we'll see in our K2 level students. You'll see them building and cutting and gluing, and we're trying to build those dexterity skills. When we get into project-based learning, you're looking more at your 3-5, some of it moves into the middle school. This is when we start talking about, we have a phenomena or an incident. The students learn through various ways how to problem solve and then model the knowledge they've gained through those various skills to solve that problem in the end. And the last one, problem-based learning, that's what we tend to see more. We are seeing it at the middle school. But that'll be more high school, and that's where we're going to start solving those authentic real-world problems. I've seen a little bit about that happening and working with Julie Bennett at the high school and some of the physics, and she's incorporating some technology in there as well, and she's working on some of those things. So I'm going to let you go ahead and do that, Travis. So K2, applied learning. So some of the skills we're looking to develop at the K2 level are their fine motor skills, their spatial awareness, their critical and logical thinking, their perseverance. We need them to keep trying, not give up and throw a fit. Structure and function, sharing of materials and ideas. We want to build their confidence and their ability to solve problems creatively. And Madonna can talk to that more. She works very closely with the K2 students. So these are going to be some pictures that were taken across our district. We have Gaines represented, Cyrene, and Morsch. And as you can see, a lot of building. It's important for them to understand how different materials are manipulated, how they interact. They're learning to build structures based on criteria they were given. They're looking at what is structurally sound or whatever meets the criteria. You can even see one person over here playing with the pulleys. So here's a lesson. They're learning about the weather, and it's just a different way of looking at clouds and different types of weather patterns. Patterns are very important at the K2 level, and there's various ways to teach patterns and to explore with those. You'll notice a lot of manipulatives. It looks like play, and we refer to it even as adults. When we get together to work with these materials, we call it play dates, but that play date is a tremendous amount of learning. And you can see, I mean, look at the balance this young man is demonstrating in his build, and the creativity. And who can't beat the smiles? Technology is a huge part of what we do in our STEAM program. Whether it be at this age learning to manipulate different types of software, or as we get older, being able to use that software to create other things and use equipment. One of the things that is used at Cyrene is this is career cruising. These are K2 kids using Zello to explore careers. And it's just a simple little program, but it takes them through all those 21st century careers. So at K2, they're already starting to look at what a career is and what's involved in that career, so they can just kind of understand those better. And of course, it's STEAM, so we've got to make sure we're incorporating the arts and what creativity, and as you can see here, you can't make something stick up in the air if you don't know how the structure works, so demonstrating those. This is the 3-5 level, and this is more project-based learning. On top of the skills we just talked about, now we're looking to develop more teamwork. We want to see them working instead of independently or with a partner in larger groups. More problem solving, more in-depth problem solving. We want them taking risk. We want them to attempt to fail. A lot of collaboration, whether it be with the class, with their partners, or with their teacher. Accountability for what they're doing, justification, and critical thinking, and then communication. They need to be able to talk about what they're working on. They need to be able to explain what they're doing. And these are just some projects. I'm not even sure exactly what that one was. You can see the buildings start getting more complex. They start getting larger. They're working with some different materials. These are straw bees. And if I'm not mistaken, had to have moving parts. So the pieces you see, they have the umbrella goes up and down, the one on the side spins, and these are different tools that we have in place for them in the district. Patterns on a different level. Again, we're scaffolding up all of these skills, trying to hone them as we go. Here's just a 3-dimensional card, but again, structure. The catapults. Can you make it through the hoop? And this may look like chaos, but I will guarantee you it is organized chaos. They're learning how the wheel or how the cars move on the track. So a lot of energy being used here. This was just recently done at Deke. This is their rain gutter regatta. They have to build a boat that not only floats, but that they can also manipulate through the water channel in races. So they were timed and someone won, I'm not sure who. Not only is it happening just in the STEAM wing, but this is pushed out to classes. So this is how our applied learning or project-based learning works. This is actually Mrs. Sanders' class, I do believe. And this was part of their social studies unit. So they studied some things in social studies, and then they take that over into modeling. So they're taking those skills and that information that they gained, and they're now practicing it and demonstrating it through a model. And I bring this one every year, and I'll bring it every year until they quit doing it. This is a area and perimeter unit. This is actually a math lesson, but it was incorporated into a full-scale project. So they have over 65 calculations they do on area and perimeter. Now this is a 3rd grade class. This is 3rd grade level. They calculate the area and the perimeter of not only a tiny house that they're given, every window, every door, every piece of furniture that goes into that. Once they've been able to complete their calculations, they're allowed to decorate their little tiny house. And then what you see on the right, they take it into a social studies unit, and they actually develop an infrastructure of a community. So now we're talking about roads, we're talking about hospitals, we're talking about playgrounds, schools, stop signs, all of those things. Typically when we let them do it, the first thing they do is plop them all down in a circle, and they've got a little racetrack in the middle, and the first thing you say is, I'm an ambulance and I need to get in, where's my road? And it changes the whole dynamic of the conversation, and what you see here is what they have on display at Deke. So it's always interesting to see where they take this. This is at Elms, and they are actually using the Dash robots, and they're programming them to travel across the world. So they have objectives. They have to go to certain places on the map, and they write a program so that the robot actually migrates to those places on its own. And this is a new toy, I do believe, that we've got in place with Legos. I believe you kind of bring to life your Legos through a video. I'm not real familiar with this one. And this is back out to Gaines, and this is some collaboration. They're working on some challenges. I believe they were trying to pick some things up, and I think they also were trying to make some catapults here. And it's just interesting to see the dynamic of when they're working together. Looks like we made some little target shooters. These are always fun with the cup and the balloon, and you try to hit the target. So they're working with transfers of energy. And then our problem-based learning, we typically see this when we get into the middle school and the high school. This is where we're going to start talking about solving authentic problems in the world. This is when it becomes real. So typically, you'll see something going on, they'll pick up something from the news, and then that's something that we try to problem solve or work around. We've done big lessons with like Pompeii. Ms. Swales has done a huge unit that revolves around the incident at Pompeii, and it's really quite fascinating how many things the students pick up from that, how many pieces of information and knowledge they glean, and how well it sticks in their mind because we make it a real world thing. But some of the skills we're looking to improve upon on top of the others, critical thinking again, communication skills, collaboration's getting stronger. We want to start testing our ideas. We want to start testing their ideas, have them testing themselves. Problem solving, presentation skills are key now, and research and development become very important to us. So this is in our new STEM wing STEAM wing at the middle school, and these are students in Mrs. Merrill's science class, and they're down working on, actually I'm not sure which lesson they're working on there. They've been visiting quite a bit and doing a lot of their labs in our area. It's nice and big so they can spread out. Kids have an opportunity to work on a solid surface. The tubs you see actually fit down underneath our new tables. So as a class comes in, the students can reach down, open a door, pull out their tub, put their name on it. They have all their materials there. When they're done for that day, they can stick it back underneath. When they come back the next day, all their stuff is right there, and bam, they're right back to work. So those have been really very helpful for us. This is a lesson in air pressure and rocketry. So they're using these rocket launchers to launch air rockets, and they're looking at the amount of pressure that they're applying to the rocket versus the angle for distance. So a lot of measuring. Back out into the main room, I believe this one is working on the marble run, and the other, I believe, had something to do with mutations. So this was another lesson with energy. You can see on the left, the young man's using one of those things we saw at the elementary level at the middle school, and instead of shooting at a target in the floor, he's now trying to make it go further and hit the target on the wall. And on the right, the young lady's looking at the plastic, which we were actually flinging paintballs at using catapults that the students had built. This is kind of an art lesson, but it also has to do with solvents and air pressure, and the students are using alcohol inks on transparency and blowing out and making very colorful patterns. And of course, we do a lot of chemistry. So this is one of the groups working on some chemistry. And another chemistry lesson. So we also see Mrs. Bright's class and a few other classes, and one of the things we needed to do was develop some skills. So the kids came in and they're learning to use the pipettes, and then they came back the next day for their actual lesson, and they're actually doing a lab with milk and food coloring, and they're playing with molecules. So we ran our salmon in the classroom again this year, and this young man had the opportunity to introduce our eggs to the tank because he came down every day since the first day of school and asked me when those eggs were going to be there. So when I picked them up, I told him what day I was picking them up and what time I should be back, and he was waiting at the door with that smile, waiting to introduce those eggs, and has come almost every day to check on the status. And actually, we're trying to set it up so that he can go with me and release them up to Byron in the Shiawassee River. So we're working on that, so hopefully he'll get to do that. Yeah. Yeah, we're working very hard. Right now, it's on him. So this is another lesson. They're making pasta cars here to race. Just a lot of, you'll see a lot of chemistry, a lot of kids interacting. The nice part about this big area is they have an opportunity to spread out and work. They can go around and look at each other's work. It's just phenomenal when they come in there, what they're doing. This is a desert island project. This was kind of fun. We did this in the STEAM class. So they designed a desert island, and then they had to, each week they were given a new component. They had to develop house, they had a bridge, a water filter, a water wheel for energy, how would they tell time, and all these things are added to this map. And all of it was with, if you were on an island, what would you have to survive with? So they literally made a water filter with a couple of water bottles they found on the beach, some sand, the charcoal from their campfire, and some small rocks. So, and then we actually had them run those and see how clear they could get the water. Chemistry lesson on air pressure, learning to use microscopes. This is a programming slash, I don't know, what would you call this? They're using makey-makeys here. So the makey-makey is a small little computer board you see there laying on the table. They wire it up, and then the graphite drawings on the paper can be touched, and they've programmed those different symbols or those different wires into the computer to make either sounds or phrases that they've recorded into the computer. They go on to actually draw a picture, connect the leads to the picture in various places, and then as they touch different pictures of the paper, it tells the story or the nursery rhyme of the picture. Middle school STEAM night was held in this new space, and I have to tell you, it was wonderful to have the room to spread out for our kids to showcase what they do. So this is an opportunity for our Kettering Young Innovators to display what they do. It's an opportunity for all of our science and our STEAM to come together and showcase those things that they've been doing throughout the year. We had a phenomenal group. Somewhere around 350 parents and adult or people attended this event, so it was really good. And these are just some pictures of what that looked like. You can see the people coming down the hallway. We do Consumers Energy Innovation Project. We do that in the fall with our 7th and 8th graders. We're getting ready to do that here in a couple of weeks with our 6th graders. Consumer Energy comes in. We have 150 kids sitting in that main area at the middle school in the great space, and you can see we still have space for kids. Robotics Club runs after school, first time this year for a middle school robotics team. And you can see Mr. Kaplan there is meeting the robotic for the first time. These students went on to compete at Kettering University. We did not win, but we did complete both of our goals. So we had 2 goals. One was not be last, and second of all, we wanted to manipulate. We had to put a cone on a post. If you could go to the next picture, and you'll be able to see it. Those yellow posts down in the lower right, you have a cone, you have to pick it up and you have to put it on there. We went through several heats. The last heat of the day, the students put a cone on the pedestal or on the yellow post, and they got so excited they quit right in the middle of the match. And we're yelling, don't quit, don't. They were so proud of themselves. They were like excited and celebrating. It's like, no, it's not over. Anyway, bottom line was they got a cone on the post, and they did not come in last. Out of 65 teams, we came in 63rd. You would have thought they won. They were so pleased with themselves. So that was our beginning point, and we're really excited to what our future looks like. Our drama department even used the space because it's so large. So we brought in our sets, and we actually did the majority of our set work right there at the middle school. The advantage of that was the kids could come straight from class. We could get our work done in a timely fashion. Nobody had to go home and find a ride to come back. So we built a majority of our stuff there, and then we loaded it up in the back of my truck, and I just hauled it over, and it worked great. So you can see them painting and building, and it was a great space for us to spread out. Our math department, Ms. Chiano wanted to have her Pi Day dinner in celebration of Pi Day, and so we converted first thing in the morning the entire STEM department into a diner, and her parents came in and cooked breakfast for all the students, and they had to earn this, of course, but it was another opportunity for them to use that space. Community wellness night, so we're moving over to the high school. Wow, what a night. That was fabulous. Very heartwarming, very exciting. It was so nice to see families come out and have an opportunity to just spend some time together. Everybody was really relaxed, and that facility worked fabulous. The hallways, the PAC, the amount of people that were involved. The back lot of the new STEM wing was a perfect place for the food truck and for the Mel bus and the fire department, because we could have those things out there and people could be moving and children could be running around, but there's no traffic in that area, so we didn't have to worry about anybody running out in a parking lot, none of that type of thing. They were in and out of the new STEAM wing, which we used not only to do some make and takes and to let our public see what our new facility looks like, but it also worked as our sitting and eating area, our diner. A lot of families just sitting and chatting. I mean, it was just people meeting and people they haven't seen in a while. I mean, it was just really, it was phenomenal. It could have went on for another hour. I would have been happy, so. And this is kind of some pictures of what it looks like without anybody in it. As you can see, we started to outfit it. We've added some lasers, some 3D printers. I've ordered a lot of tools, been working with the high school principal on the budget over there, and we're putting in as many components as we can, looking at what we might be using the space for, working with teachers, and met with a lot of teachers, have some fabulous ideas for what the fall's gonna look like. I'm really excited to get this up and running, so. And it's just some pictures. I know it looks pretty empty right now, but it's coming. It's coming. Where do we stand? STEAM teachers have developed strong lessons in our elementaries, and students are picking up new skills at each level. At the middle school, teachers from all subjects are using the new wing. You can see that. And at the high school, we're excited to get full swing in the fall. So if anybody's got any questions, you'd like to talk to either of the teachers. If you're interested in seeing what anything looks like, some of the lessons we teach or what applied learning sounds like, you can visit my Google. There's some lessons there that we use. But there's also an applied learning in action in Swartz Creek, Michigan, or Swartz Creek Middle School, and you'll be able to hear what it sounds like to hear students learning in this type of environment. Okay?
Any questions for Michelle or Mrs. Kelly or Mrs. Swales?
I don't really have a question, but I just had a quick comment for you. When I was in school, especially in elementary school, I was part of basically the first group, the beta STEM era there when they just started rolling it out. I always thought that area of learning was super cool, and from a student's perspective, just seeing how far it's grown at all levels, especially at the elementary and middle school levels from when I was there, seeing how much it's grown and what the possibilities we're going to have at the high school too. All of it is just fantastic, and I'm glad that the district has spent time to put more money towards this, put more programs towards this, because it's an awesome program. It teaches kids so many good things, and it's just awesome to see how much the program has grown all the way back from the beta stages of when I was in elementary school. So thank you so much for all the time you all put into this.
Thank you, Tanner, and you're right. We have our administration and our board to thank for all this, because it's if it wasn't for all of them, we wouldn't be where we're at 10 years later. So 10 years.
It's hard to believe, Michelle.
10 years from an idea to look where we're at. We've got new structures and just, I mean, it's not just in the STEM department anymore. We're doing this in all subjects. So.
We want to thank you.
Thank you.
You've been at the home the whole time, and I remember we've talked about it when you had eggs and turtles and a bird.
Oh, yeah.
And some robotics that were pieced out of things that people had donated.
Yeah.
So go ahead, Jessica.
I just wanted to say, number one, that I really appreciate all the work that you're doing at all levels with the schools, and that you continue as well. And it was really nice to hear you proudly talk about STEAM, because it seems like sometimes people go back and forth, STEM and STEAM and STEAM. But STEM, you know, like, because I think the arts part sometimes
That's a huge
people
part.
don't necessarily appreciate, and I think you did a spectacular job in a previous presentation talking about and tying arts into this. So thank you for giving it the attention that it does get in wrapping this all together. And I was so glad to see that picture of the little monster, because
Is that the one you
I did
got?
not send out a thank you to all the principals and the staff, but I have in my office on my desk this year from part of the STEAM labs, all of them, I have a container that holds got a dragon, and it holds my paper clips in it, and sitting on the top shelf of that is my little monster that I love to look at. And sadly, and I know this was though from a summer school, I got so excited and it made me giggle. The little toothbrush batteries,
Oh, yeah.
I had 2 of those and the battery just died on one, so.
Oh, I can get you a battery.
Sadly, but the point being is the work that we're doing, and I'm so glad that you talk about this as well, that not just for the students, but for the adults, and how important it is to look at this as play, because that's really, I think, when a lot of innovation and problem solving takes place. And I'm so thrilled that you guys truly foster that in a really wonderful way.
Thank you, I
That's what
appreciate
wanted to
that. So play dates are what we refer to it when we get together to work on things, and we don't call it a meeting, it's a play date, because that's what we do. We get together and play until we figure it out and work it out. And it's usually, we hear, well, you didn't invite me to the play date, well, you didn't invite me to the play date, so. But those play dates are what have driven us as adults, because we have to remember how to play. We think we've got blinders on and we think very straightforward, and we have to think of how a child or a young student is looking at things, and from their perspective, and what maybe they might question, or what do they know or not know, and what information do they need to glean from that, so.
So I just want to say thank you for the presentation. Learned a lot, because I haven't been up here long enough to see all these things. My son is in 10th grade, so we've kind of missed some of it in elementary, a little bit here and there, but we got some great little gifts and appreciate it. But my main question is, when can we have our play date?
When do you want one? We'll
I
schedule
don't
it.
know, Rod.
We should have a play
That's
date
our
at the high
next
school.
One is a play date in the STEAM lab.
We can do that.
I think it should be a board play date, I'm just saying.
All right, we'll make it happen.
We could take a board tour and turn it into a board.
100%,
instead, and then
yeah.
just meet up there.
Do some make and takes? You gotta have make and takes. All right.
I'll even bring my own plastic. I have reels of it home. My son had a pen. No, like the plastic
Oh, you
for
got
the 3D printer.
You got some PLA that you're looking to get rid
The
of.
3D printer pen, and we've
Yeah.
gone through like 3 of them, and I ordered them and realized how big of a thing literally, like it's a tub. I said, we should donate to the school, but he
Oh, it
someday
would-
wants his own 3D printer. So.
Oh, you better hang on to it. Although it does have a shelf life, so.
Oh, good to know. Well, I will be bringing them in.
Anyone else?
Sorry.
Thank
I
you,
took some-
Michelle.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you to your staff. Thank you for
Everybody,
attending.
thank you. We appreciate all that you do. We see the great pictures.
Make sure you get
I
that
wish
little
we
boy
could-
out there with you. Make sure you get that little boy out there with you when you release the fish. the eggs.
100% am working on it.
All right, moving on, thanks again, Michelle. Moving on, we have several board action items, beginning with the approval of our Troon February 2023 policy updates.
So this is our second read and our approval. There are only 2 policies up for approval, 3116 for district technology and 3120 for Head Start COVID mitigation. The blue in the policy are the changes, so on the first blue under A7, we did say yes and wanted to add the word violence as well to the other inappropriate issues on that paragraph. The second blue is D1A, and we said yes. that a student shall power off all electronic devices and surrender them to the test administrator for collection prior to the beginning of a test session. And then down further under 2, 3, we said option 2. Test administrators may wear a wearable electronic device such as a smartwatch or Fitbit, but must ensure that the device is in airplane mode during test administration. When we're referring to test administration, this is all state testing, not generalized testing, but state-approved testing. And then for 3120, this policy has already been intentionally left blank, and the recommendation was continue to leave it intentionally left blank.
And that was the Head Start COVID-19 mitigation, so.
Correct.
Which for clarification means we're taking no position on
Correct.
a COVID requirement.
But we will keep a place in our policy manual just in case they bring something similar back or a different 3120.
So if you've noticed, if you've done policy for a while, Troon, this is our second year with Troon will keep the number and it will always refer to that exact policy. So there are many policies that are not necessary. If we choose to put them in and approve them, then they go in. But if we choose to intentionally leave them blank, they don't become part of the policy, but the number stays there as a placeholder for future discussion.
Back to the first one, 7 here. Oh, we are adding the word violence to that?
That was the recommendation.
Okay, but it's not there right now. We're just, okay.
Correct.
Just making sure.
All right, with that, I would entertain a motion for approval as was amended.
So moved.
Chuck? Support. Andrea? Any comments or questions? Be it resolved that the Swartz Creek Community Schools Board of Education approves the Troon February 2023 policy updates 3116 and 3120 as presented. Sue, can you do roll call, please?
Holly Jarvis,
Yes.
Chuck Melkey.
Yes.
Kim Winter,
Yes.
Andrea Fick,
Yes.
Jessica Lenave,
Yes.
Carrie Germain.
Yes.
6 yes.
Thank you, motion passes. All right, moving on to the approval of our Esser furniture bid for all buildings.
So Jessica talked about the 3 different bids in her report. The way we have them grouped is the Esser is in B, so that's the first one, and then you will see the 2 different groups there. So I think when you read the resolution, then you can read the amount that goes to each group, but they're grouped in B because this is all ESSER funding. And so this would be the flip desks, the tables, and the chairs across the district.
Okay, so we'll begin with the Esser furniture bid. I would entertain a motion for approval.
So moved.
Chuck? Jessica? Any comments or questions? Be it resolved that the Swartz Creek Community Schools Board of Education approves the company KI with a bid price of $232,038.51 and interior office source with a bid price of $233,902.89 as presented. Sue, can you do roll call, please?
Kim Winter? Yes. Carrie Germain?
Yes.
Chuck Melkey?
Yes.
Holly Jarvis?
Yes.
Andrea Fick?
Yes.
Jessica Lenave?
Yes.
6 yes.
All right.
So C is now the bond side of the furniture bids, and these are the bookshelves for all the elementaries, as well as some furniture for Cyrene that didn't make it into the original ESSER budget.
All right. Thank you, Rod. With that, I would entertain a motion for approval.
So moved.
Chuck? Support. Jessica? Any comments or questions? Be it resolved that the Swartz Creek Community Schools Board of Education approves KI with a bid price of $161,177.81 as presented. Sue, can you do roll call, please?
Jessica Lenave?
Yes.
Carrie Germain?
Yes.
Andrea Fick?
Yes.
Chuck Melkey?
Yes.
Holly Jarvis?
Yes.
Kim Winter?
Yes.
6 yes.
Okay, and finally,
And finally, we have the designation of your rep for the biennial election at the GISD. And this person will then cast the vote when we later choose who that vote is going to go to in the May meeting that we move to the 17th.
all right. I will start by asking if is anyone that would like to volunteer to be the delegate and then the alternate.
I nominate Jessica.
I'm on.
Okay, Jessica. Anyone else like to be an alternate?
I'd like to nominate Jack for that. Can we do that one? Not you. I think he would like to do that.
He can't accept it. I nominate Andrea to do it as an alternate.
I'll accept
That's
it.
what you get for opening your mouth.
Andrea, are you
Yeah,
willing?
Jessica will teach me what I need to do.
I will plan on being there. You also pointed out that is the high school honors
Oh.
night. So,
What night is it? The 24th?
June 5th. That meeting for the ISD is June 5th. So it is the, I think I saw that, let's see. Senior honors night, it starts at the same time.
I mean, if you need to be at honors night, that's fine. Okay.
So I'm planning,
Okay.
ISD at this moment, no reason why I can't be there.
Okay.
All right, so I have Jessica, who's volunteered to be delegate, and Andrea as the alternate. I need a motion for approval.
So move that we nominate Jessica as a primary and Andrea as an alternate.
Chuck?
The GISD.
Thank you. Do I have support?
I'll support.
That was Holly. Thank you. Any other comments or questions? Thanks, everyone, for volunteering. Be it resolved that the Swartz Creek Community Schools Board of Education approves Jessica LaNave as the delegate and Andrea Fick as the alternate for the electoral representative for the GISD biennial election held on June 5th, 2023, as presented. Sue, can you do roll call, please?
Chuck Melkey.
Yes.
Holly Jarvis.
Yes.
Carrie Germain.
Yes.
Andrea Fick.
Yes.
Kim Winter.
Yes.
Jessica LaNave.
Yes.
6 yes.
Thank you. Motion passes, and thank you very
Congratulations,
much
ladies.
for your service. All right, finally, we have opportunity for public comments. If anybody would like to address the board, please step forward, state your name, and try to keep your comments to 3 minutes or less.
David Splain, I'm here to represent the Swartz Creek Area Historical Society. If I could approach, I have some information here I'd like to pass out. That'd be
Sure.
fine.
Sure.
First of all, what I showed tonight, you mentioned the time capsule. There's some information that was shared with us regarding an international time capsule group that would be interested in going and documenting, I believe, is what they were looking to do about the opening of that particular capsule. My purpose for being here, you'll see what I'm handing out here.
Thank you.
Unfortunately for my personality, I'm not a very weight kind of person. So that is why I'm here. We received the email that you see on the top regarding the space that our archives occupy at your Cage building. Our group relies heavily on the generosity of the school and the city for space to present historical museum space and archive storage. We previously were granted a space within Mary Crapel building, and then we were asked to vacate it. And the agreement on the second part of what I handed out to you is that, and that agreement was extended to the Cage through Mr. Ben Manka when that space was given to us. Now, may not seem like a crisis to to your level, but to our small group, receiving a letter like this is a crisis, because we don't have a alternate location to go to. As I said, the city of Swartz Creek, we have a mini museum that would fit into the corner of this room with no storage. We have nothing else at this time. We are actively building a building, creating a building fund and trying to raise money to find someplace to call a permanent home, but we are not there yet, and it will be a while. I'm here, asking for our agreement to continue with where we're at. When we first occupied the cage and got set up, the dust settled, and we were able to start back at getting our archives, start documenting them again and labeling them from when the disturbance from, let me start over. We started out in Dr. Jim English's basement at his office on Miller Road. He wanted to sell his business. He ended up passing away. We had to move, and Mr. Thompson from the Mary Crapo High School alternative thing invited us there, and through you guys and we were able to get there. And it was great. I mean, it was well received by the public and everything. And then we were given the notice that the building was going to close. So, again, we moved, and we're getting settled in. Things were getting resumed. And finally, COVID hit. And basically, we've been without access to that building of the cage for nearly 2 years. 1 year solid there was no access. And then because of changes within the staffing and such at that building, our access to the archive is pretty much, if you're driving by and there's cars there, pull in, and we can get in there and maybe drop some stuff off or pick some stuff up or whatever. But it's not like it used to be where there was someone assigned to be there. And even you guys had taken over that building for a while. So again, we were just getting our feet under us again and trying to get things rolling again. That all being said, it's not for the lack, my emphasis there, it's not for the lack of interest of the space. It's not just a storage room. It is a museum, and it's mostly dedicated to the history of the schools. But again, we had big ideas of having it open on certain days and this and that, but the access to the building has been limited. So,
Mr. Spillane, I'm going to ask Mr. Heatherton or Mr. Kitchen either to weigh in, if you don't mind.
All right, can I continue? Because
Okay.
I called yesterday, I left messages, and then Mr. Kitchen did call me this morning on this regard. And he asked me to contact the writer of the letter. Unfortunately, calling back to the school switchboard, they don't know where she's at. They don't have a phone number. They gave me the athletic department. I left yet another message without a return.
I think this is a new team member, correct?
Yes,
So I'm
and
gonna
that was a
let-
concern, that a 2-week seniority person is making these decisions. So, and I shared that with Mr. Kitchen and stuff, so.
Carrie, can I make a quick suggestion
Yeah.
before we, and I feel for what's going on here, I don't, but just maybe we should spill this back to the operations committee, and we can work it out after. But Rod, go ahead, and Jim, go ahead, because I just had a quick sidebar with Jim, so go ahead. That's okay.
I don't really have any information.
No, I don't either. I didn't know about
Laura
this. Yeah.
is brand new to us. Our goal after COVID was to start community ed back up because it was an important piece of this community, and we haven't had community ed functioning the way it used to function in at least 3 years. And I know that the cage is an athletic space, so I mean, I can only guess and give you conjecture as to why they wanted the space there, probably for more programming. You talked to Mr. Kitchen, I haven't even talked to the department, so
Yes.
I don't have any enlightening information on this.
Yes, same. So yesterday, we received a call about this email that went out. I know that there was conversations about space, but did not know about this email going out. When I talked with Mr. Spillane this morning, my goal was to get him to talk to the community ed department, especially if they're going to continue to be partnering, so that he could share, the reason that they could not move the space, and we could share the reason why we need it, and then some consensus could be made. So that was where we left off, and I wasn't sure. I have not checked in to see if the connection was made. Obviously it wasn't, but community ed is in the athletics department, and so that was the right area. But again, she is a new secretary, and so my guess is she's got a big vision, and she's jumping ahead. But I do think a conversation with both of you, especially being partners in that space, if you stay in that space, community education is going to be in that space too, and so we need you to partner and share each other's vision.
No, I understand that, and I never, ever imagined that this would be an interminable agreement of our occupying this space. However, at this point, we have no other choice in places to go. Now, if you choose that, you need the space more than we do, we'll work with that. Just work within the agreement that we already have. I did include my phone number on the top of the page so that anybody who wants questions can reach out to us. I'm willing to work with anybody on it, because we want to be cooperative and we want to be part of the education process. We think that we can offer some value to the history of what goes on within Swartz Creek. My board meeting for the Swartz Creek Historical Society is at this exact same time, so they're carrying on without me while I'm here to take care of this. But yes, we share and bring that education level, and a lot of people enjoy it. So, I'll be looking forward to hearing back from whoever. I'm sorry, I'm a horrible speaker.
No.
Okay, to end on a positive note, you were talking about the Mary Crapo build-out, and I shared this with a city official, but I don't know if it ever reached you guys. We have a member of our society that has a very large decorative stone in her front yard that came from the Crapo property. It was moved to her front yard. Her husband used to work for the Crapo farm. She would like that rock returned to Crapo property. I promised her I would find some way, somehow, of making this happen. And I know the city and DDA and projects that they were working on had been discussing an early partnership with the school on the build-out of Mary Crapo and this and that, which could be a very positive location for this stone to be placed, with a plaque on it as to where it came from. It is not the significant stone that used to grace the entrance to Grassmore, which was the mansion of the Crapo property, but it did come from the property, okay? And it's not a small stone. I went and looked at it because, everybody said, well, we can move it. No. It's a large stone, and it's probably sunk in the ground quite a bit, but at any rate, if you are interested in it, we would love to work with you and get it to that location for her. Now, she is in her 90s, and she lives on Brown Road in Shiawassee County, which, if you're familiar with that, is also within the parameters of what was once called the Tim Project out there, and the properties out there are also being looked at by the Michigan Economic Development for significant monies to do things out there. So I'm not saying it's a rush, but time is of the essence for one reason or another. So I do offer that, and my phone number's there if you would like to send someone to look at it. Perhaps the company that's doing the work at the school property right now, they certainly have the equipment to move a large rock. It was moved to her house by a road construction company that they were neighbors with. So, but yeah, if you're interested at all, she would love to pass away knowing that that rock made it back to where it belonged. So
Thank you, Mr. Spillane, for
I
bringing
appreciate
that
your
to
time.
us, to bring it to our attention. And also, Chuck, I think you have a good suggestion to talk about it at the operations meeting.
I think that's the best thing right now, Carrie, but I
Yeah.
think Mr. Spillane needs his nerves calm, so as I, that this letter that was sent out was not from our superintendent, and it was not from our deputy superintendent, or anybody in this board. So this letter, to me, he can stay there till we make a decision, and not a secretary sending a letter to somebody to break a contract. That, I get kind of, I'm just a little upset. I had two monsters. I didn't have three today. But I want you to do it, Carrie. I mean, you're the board president, and assure him that he doesn't have to go vacate everything because somebody sent him a letter. I'm a little upset about that without,
So Chuck, I would like to grant grace to the new
Thank you.
staff person.
Yes.
Because
Yeah.
people get excited when
Yeah.
they have new roles, and we don't get into the day-to-day operations of the district, but we do appreciate you bringing it to us, and we do like to create relationships and partnerships with the city government, the county government, with our partners within the city. So I will just make a commitment to you that Rod and Jim will follow up on it, and then we'll put it on the operations committee that's coming up next month. In the meantime,
and one of us
sleep
will meet
well.
with you, if that's okay, Carrie, yeah.
Sleep well.
No, I appreciate that.
No one's going to clean your space out.
No, I can assure you, there's not going to be no, as a backup to Madam President and Rod.
Schools don't move that fast anyway.
Yeah.
If it was approved, it'd
Yeah.
be months on
That was
end.
reiterated a couple of times by a couple of different people, but, as I said, I kind of tend to,
It was probably, like Carrie said, it was probably just an oversight on her part being a new employee, but that has this board will make a decision along with our superintendent, that this is not going to, we're not going to vacate your stuff. That's too important to me too as a Swartz Creek resident.
And maybe we
Everybody on
could
this
figure
board.
a place that it would be highlighted so that our
Yes.
students and community could benefit from it.
Yes.
So, thank you so much for bringing it.
well, if I may,
And-
I would say that I'm not an email person, and, you can read into something. I might read it one way, somebody else might read it another way, so conversation is much better for me, but I will make myself available, or someone from our board will make ourselves available to work this out and resolve it
Sure.
to everyone's, liking, so. And if I could, real quickly, the time capsule thing that we mentioned, that is the 17th, correct?
It is the 17th at 5:30
Okay,
here.
That's public information, and I can, okay. Because I know that the people that come to our presentations are very interested in knowing and want to be a part of that, so
Good.
we will make sure we share all that. So, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Spillane.
All right. Anyone else? No? All right.
Board comment.
Board comments.
Okay, I got a few. Yep, let's move on.
I'll start with you.
Okay, the Elms Road Elementary sent the kids out again on this past Monday. I was fortunate enough to go. Miss Sue called me. I got there in time. We had a great time. Big shout out to David, Marie O, and Quinn, who were the teachers there. They did a great job, and we might get some dogs adopted, and they read for the kids. It was great. I want to thank Rod for giving me that, I think me and Jack asked for that last week, or last month, on the stats for discipline and all that, and I think that helps explain a lot, and it shows that it's kind of in line without, casting stones at any one group of people. I like that. The casino night. I was approached by a local realtor who is starting not you, but not one of your friends, your cohorts. You know him very well, Adam. He's doing a casino night, a nonprofit. If we can get workers from our athletic department, which we just were on the subject of our athletic department, they can take in 45 to 50% of the money for working 4 days at a, Texas Hold'em nonprofit type thing. So we got to get with Adrian to get this going for our kids, because there's a potential of a lot of money being raised for the athletic department, okay? And that's going to be done in Flushing.
Does it have to be people from the athletic department that work it? Could it be
No, we
anyone
can
from-
actually get volunteers
We can
from
go
whatever,
there.
yes. But, you know, if the wrestling team wants to do it, the football team,
But the money's
the
going to go
softball.
to whatever group.
Yes,
Whatever
it would be
group
that group that's
okay.
designated, and it's going to be done weekly from now on. So we need to get on that. and
Oh,
Get some scheduling done so we can raise some money. I'm sure some of us can volunteer for that.
For sure.
That casino night, where's it being held?
It's going to be tentatively at the VFW Hall on McKinley Road in Flushing.
And do you know if we have to?
We have to do
The
our,
state?
yes, our whatever it's called. But he's going to do that for us, so it's just in conjunction. He has to have the workers, it has to go to an organization, so we might as well benefit when we can. So I wanted to mention that. These two people that we hired, are these new hires? Are they new positions or replacement of positions? Do we know that, Rod? I just asking on these positions. Well, when we hire new positions, I don't have a problem with it. I just want to know if they're new hires. I mean, I know they're new hires, but are they replacements of somebody that left? Or,
The educational aid is replacing that, and the community ed one was the one we talked about.
okay, that's for our athletic community yet. Okay, good. All right. So, and we approved that last month. Good. All right. And, that's it. Thank you, Carrie.
Thank you, Chuck. Anyone else?
Yeah, I have something I wanted to ask. I'm just curious, I know we talked at the policy meeting about the doors being propped open and such by kids. And then the email came out that disciplinary action could take place if someone was found to be doing that. Does anyone know, did that include just the doors at the PAC, or is that the doors all through the high school? Okay, I just wanted to make sure on that.
There was special emphasis on the PAC because it's so far away, it's easier to come in and go. And so there's more attention being placed on the PAC, but all the doors are to be locked and not propped open.
Okay, and what are, I don't think there's anything we can do about this, but what are we to do if, and I've had this happen to me numerous times, we probably all have, where you go in or somebody's coming out, somebody follows you in just because you get yourself buzzed in and somebody follows you in because they're right behind you. And I don't know who that person is. So I guess it's just a problem. Maybe we can't do anything about it, but and then coming up here on a couple days ago, I had students coming out holding the door for me. And not that I look threatening or anything, I'm just saying that that's kind of a problem too. Just students see an adult coming, so they just think they're gonna be nice and open the door and let you in.
But don't most of our buildings now have the double entrance? Like if you get in, if Rod follows you in as an adult, another person, they're probably gonna stop you both if they don't recognize him. There's a double.
All front
entry.
entries of all buildings have a triple entrance. You have the exterior, you have the vestibule, you have to get into the office, and from the office, you have to get into the main building. So if someone holds the front door open, there's still two more doors, plus at each office space between the vestibule and the building, there is a secretary or aide to talk to. So you should still be directed to an adult at the station.
Okay, so even if I came in and I had an appointment, then the person behind me would probably be questioned, like, what are you here for?
I mean, unless they jumped over you and got through the future
Yeah.
doors ahead of you, yeah, I'm sure that they would ask for
Okay.
their appointment time.
Okay, thanks.
Thanks, Kim. Anyone else? All right, I just want to thank Michelle from Commissioner Wayhill's office for coming tonight, and then Michelle and Madonna and Kelly, thank you so much for everything you do for our students. The best is yet to come. We know that, and we appreciate all that you're doing to really grow the interest in STEAM programs in the whole community. So thank you on behalf of this board and on behalf of the Swartz Creek community and all the students. And your testimonial, Tanner, is the best because you've lived it as a student. So we really appreciate it. Thanks, Travis, and thanks for everything you do. And to my fellow board members, thank you very much. Just a reminder, our next meeting is May 17th, moved back a week. And I'm sure that our wonderful Sue Gould, who I fail to thank every meeting, but thank you, Sue. We'll send out a reminder for that. Anything else?
I'd like to thank Sue for taking notes.
She does an amazing job at everything. All right, with that, I would entertain a motion for adjournment.
Support.
Chuck, Andrea, any comments or questions? We are adjourned.
Thank you.
Thank you. Oh my gosh.